it's probably my favorite part about these masterminds is I get to bounce from room to room and kind of hear entrepreneurial stories. And like sometimes it is boring as shit. And then sometimes you're like, oh. And so Austin and his brother, Justin, like how many degrees do you got?
So it's getting up there. Like you said, we got more degrees than a thermometer, man. So my brother himself, he actually just got his doctorate in business. So he's calling himself now the development doctor because now he has everything. We have the NASCULA license for construction, so we can build skyscrapers, airports, hospitals, everything.
This is all from Morehouse?
Well, the doctorate, no, he got from South College.
Okay.
But our bachelors, we got both from Morehouse.
But they're talking, they're like, oh, I'm gonna get my master's, I'm gonna get my doctorate, I'm gonna get my and then like their first slide said the property bros, not bros, bros.
Bros, yeah, BRUH.
Yeah, and so then like the next slide is all these single family deals they own, and then the next slide, well, we're building schools and warehouses, and you're just like, what the are you even asking? Like, no one in this room understands what you're saying. It was just wild.
Well, I love the education aspect of it because one thing that before you got here, Tim and I were talking about there is in the real estate world, at least from my perspective, is this bubble where you get focused on the next deal in front of you. You get focused on where do I get my lending partners, my transaction coordinations, my title companies, maybe the events, the REI networking events, the masterminds. But other than that, continuing education, like traditional continuing education, chambers, it's out of the bubble, and at least from my perspective. So it's really cool to hear that you and your brother are actively seeking education outside of the real estate bubble.
It's very important, and I talk to my community about it all the time, about how much money is actually in real estate as far as everybody has fees and transactions that are, applied when it comes to real estate. So you can be the agent, right? You can be the closing attorney, you can be the loan officer. So many different ways that you can get money. So go and educate yourself, get these licenses, get these certifications. That way you'll be able to make money all around the board, right? You don't have to limit yourself to the capabilities of making money.
I think also, just to dovetail into that, is, again, talking about that bubble, is I look at you and like, man, Austin's really successful. Tim, he's really successful. They're at the top of the food chain. And then y'all go to the boardroom, you're like, oh my God, Kent Clothier is so much bigger than me. And then what I've noticed lately is you get into other rooms, you're like, oh my God, I'm not even in the right ocean, because there's always, there's other levels, but sometimes there's levels that are so much higher than what preconceived notions were. Because I mean, in I would say all of the 2010s and 11s up to 2020, both Tim and I were fairly, I would say, argue Tim still is, but in the DFW market, in that micro influencer world of real estate. And we thought, at least I thought, man, we're up there. Barely a scratch.
That's the beauty of actually going to mastermind groups. And that's what I was going to say about Tim. And how you say, am I here for Tim or his wallet? I'm actually here for Tim, right? This is my guy. And it's more so because of the relationship that we built naturally or just talking, and I guess him believing in the vision and just seeing our presentation. Like, I'm a firm believer, everything happens for a reason, right? So Tim was in our room, right? Out of all of the rooms that he could have been in for the boardroom, he was in our room. And he just wanted to pour into us, right? So naturally we gravitate towards that because it's somebody who's clearly he doesn't need my money, right? So he wants to actually help, you know what I'm saying? So that's the beauty of going to those rooms and, spending that money to educate yourself on that, right? And being in the room with other people that are bigger than you and see that they are having problems just like you too, and figuring those problems out.
Just more zeros and commas, man.
Just more zeros and commas.
And it's funny, we were with Charlie in one of the last episodes, and he said now he's in these conversations where more often than not, there's a billionaire at the boardroom table with you. And I think it's hard for people to understand that there's income creation, then there's wealth creation, but you can't even comprehend someone that's into wealth preservation. Like it's not even, they're not really trying to make money. They're just trying to make sure their money's safe and keeps up with inflation.
I was talking about this last night. You know what the two top rules of a family office are? Number one, don't lose money. Number two, don't disclose how much money you have.
Yeah.
Right.
Or how much money you're managing. And that's just a different level. Like, because again, I think the word family office gets thrown around a lot. And again, where I'm at now, I didn't know a thing, multifamily office, where, hey, maybe you're not big enough to be able to staff a full family office, so we're just going to manage several. And it's like, do you know what the numbers are? So if you're below 50 million, you probably aren't ready for a family office yet.
Right.
If you're in that 50 to 500, you probably should be in a multifamily office, because you can't imagine having over $50 million and I'm hearing you don't have enough to staff an office. And then once you get to 500, and these are, obviously just kind of rules of thumb, but then you can have your own family office.
There was
a different level.
There was a computer company in Texas that at one point in time, the founder's family office was buying single family rentals. This was back in 2012, 2013, when, it was kind of becoming the thing. And I'll never forget when the family office manager called me right after we started B2R, and he was looking for $100 million loan, because to date they had just paid cash for all these houses. And he was very conservative, and he's like, well, I figure if I get a 20% loan to value, we'll be safe. And you do the math, like that's $500 million worth of rentals that they bought with cash because they were just, trying not to lose money. And it's not $1 billion, it's just $500 million.
One thing that's, and somebody else can Google me this, whatever. The rise of money and the growth of money the last 20, 30 years. I think the stat is like there was less than, I don't know, there's only a couple hundred family offices like 20, 30 years ago. And now there's like 2,000 or something like that. And that may not seem like a lot, but if you use the rule of thumb numbers I just gave, that's a lot of damn money.